Hey guys, it's a new year and people come to me asking me again if it's still worth buying Ark 2022. I can of course not tell you if you should buy it or not, but I can tell you my point of view that might help you with your own decision. I'm playing Ark since 2015 when it got initially released on Steam, and I have now almost 12k hours in the game, and I think I have gathered enough experience to talk about the game mechanics and the development. When Ark got released 2015, it was in early access and it ran pretty poorly. It was a dinosaur game with a lot of potential, but back then we did not know where it would progress towards to. A lot has changed since 2015. We got several paid and free DLCs, and the direction of the game has been changed and redefined from the point of view of a player since. Even today, some are still confused why the dinosaur game, as it was marketed by the press, suddenly turned into a sci-fi game. But Ark has always been a sci-fi game. It was just missing certain sci-fi elements to be an obvious sci-fi game. Those elements came later. Ark got a lot of optimization. That way it does perform well on lower end machines. On top, the game also got some lore that is connected through the paid DLCs. The game mechanics added by those DLCs also allow every player to find their own game style. The story DLCs that have been published are named The Island, Scorched Earth, Aberration, Extinction, Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. The island is kind of a tropical island that has some redwood forest and snow area, but is mainly palm tree beach. It is perfect to get to know the game and start as a beginner. Scorched Earth is a merciless desert that exposes you to the elements. Extreme weather events require you to search for shelter, and the search for the rare water sources can cost your life if you're not careful. Aberration is a map that takes place in a gigantic cave that is half corrupted with radiation. From the radiated part, mutated animals appear who seek out to try to kill you. If you try to leave the cave to the surface, you can only do this at night, because otherwise you will burn to death within seconds, because this Ark is lacking the protective shield. Extinction is Earth after its almost destruction. I do not want to say a lot more, because that would probably spoil the story. Genesis 1 is a simulation and Genesis 2 brings you back into space. In addition to the paid DLCs, there are also community maps that are not relevant for the story but quickly became fan favorites because they are available even if you only have the base game and no paid DLC. Those maps are The Center, Ragnarok, Valguero, Crystal Isles, Lost Island and soon Fjordor. Some of these maps even have creatures on them that used to be only available on paid DLC maps. Each of these maps provides several hundred hours of game content if you thrive to kill the bosses and reach endgame. And the next community map is announced to be available in summer, so you can experience the feeling of new content being released that everyone is excited about. The Ark franchise has changed a lot over the past years. From indie game to extremely successful indie game to an even more growing studio, and now to a contract with Vin Diesel himself for Genesis 2 and Ark 2, and maybe even 3 movies if we believe the CEO who made this bold announcement last year. The Ark franchise is more than just a successful video game. It's a whole story universe that is now even spreading to movies and TV series. That it has a big potential can be seen when checking out the player base. Ark managed to have a stable number of players for almost 7 years now, and each DLC gets more people back who hibernate until new content gets released. The community is big and very engaged when decisions are made that decide about the direction of the game. But don't be fooled, like in every survival game, parts of the community are morally indecisive at best. If that's not an issue for you, then feel free to join official servers or even enjoy your time on PvP servers. If you want to have some peace and don't want your progress to get destroyed by randoms, join a private server or even renting your own PvE server could be an option. If you are lucky and got the game on Steam, you also get a taste of the modded world of Ark. You will find modded maps and also mods that improve your game experience or even turn Ark into a completely different game. Even after your regular playthrough, these mods provide more content for you to enjoy. But if you enjoyed this video so far, consider booping the like button so YouTube knows this was helpful to you. Ark has a problem just as other survival games, or let's not call it a problem, but call it a characteristic. Survival games require a special type of player. Players who have no problems in organizing themselves, to look out for tasks in order to progress, and players who can handle micromanagement. Players who can see the big picture but also are able to break down big problems into bite-sized tasks. Ark is not going to take you by the hand and explain how to play the game and how it works. It's actually quite the opposite. You are thrown into the world and you have to figure out things yourself. Or you look for wikis and tutorials on the internet to find the information players have collected before you. The fact that this information is available is another reason why starting to play Ark now is the best time, because back then, when most of us got into the game, there were neither wikis nor tutorials, so we were stuck with rumors and trying to figure out the game ourselves. After almost 12k hours playtime, I can tell you that the most fun in the game is not even the end game, at least not for me. It's building up the base when you have nothing and you start from zero. The slow progression, where every new improvement feels like you just invented the fire. That's what makes me look forward for new maps and gets me excited. Many people join servers and try to skip this phase with gifted animals or items, but almost every time the same people will stop playing the game after a week because it's boring and they lack progression. But what kind of player are you? Do you need tutorials to progress? Then you should for sure check out the wiki or YouTube to not rage quit the game in frustration. But do you like the challenge, being thrown blindly into a game? Then you might be slower in progression, but you will also have more playtime and content. I have played other survival games before and I always went back to Ark. And you may ask why. In my eyes, no matter how annoyed you are about the bugs in the game, one thing is quite obvious. It's almost impossible to find a survival game with just as much content and depth in a game as Ark has, especially for this price. The only game that might come close to it, mods included, is Minecraft. Or if you also want to include 2D games, then maybe Terraria. And those are two big names in gaming. The good thing about Ark is that there are so many different directions in which you can go forward, depending on your own interest. Me, for example, I'm a breeder, and I breed for my tribe. But I highly dislike building, so my tribe mate who likes building can focus on that, while I take care that we have farming and boss animals. Then there are people who neither care about breeding nor about building, but that enjoy exploring. Our other tribe mate is like that. He was also the one farming drops and finding artifacts in the caves and blueprints. You can probably tell that Ark is best played in a group of friends. You can also play it solo, but then you have to do all the tasks yourself to progress. Playing in a group is much nicer. So far, no other survival game managed to entertain me for as long as Ark could. One game hooked me in the past year just as much, and that was Valheim, but Valheim was lacking the content that Ark has, and after defeating the last boss that was there at that time, there was no reason for me to continue anymore, while with Ark you always have things to work on. But let's summarize this. Ark is for you when you look for game content that is worth hundreds or thousands of hours. When you're able to organize yourself and you don't get annoyed by having to figure things out yourself. When you are looking for a game to play with your friends. When you like dinosaurs, that is very helpful. When you have no problem to prepare several weeks to enter the end game. When you have no problems that end game is unlocked on several maps piece by piece. When you're not sensitive to when it comes to bugs or small logic errors. My ideal setup for playing Ark is for sure a private server with a few mods that make life easier and a group of friends who enjoy the game just as much as I do. That way we can split the grind between all of us and everyone can feel like a valued member of the tribe. I cannot tell you to buy or not to buy Ark, but I can tell you that after almost 12k hours playing, I do not regret it. And I can also tell you that this game truly changed my life, because without this game, this and my other YouTube channel would not exist, and I would not have met that many people in my life that I'm happy to call friends now. Even with Ark 2 just around the corner, I think many people will stay with Ark 1 because they spend years to build up what they have now. You just don't abandon what you built for years. With a new map in summer, you can also experience the hype that is felt when new content gets released. If you need tutorials for the game, this channel is of course the best spot to look for them. Ark is my main game and therefore you will find content all about Ark on here. No matter if you're a beginner and you try to get into the game, or if you're a pro looking for the newest tricks, I will cover all of this. And now I'm thanking you for watching this video until here, and I would love to see you become part of our little ARK family. My Discord can be found in the video description under the video. And if you want to know how to start breeding as a complete beginner, check the video on the top. Otherwise, I think the video below might also be interesting for you. Thank you for watching. Bye!